Hello, everybody. Okay, give me a second. All right. So we have this story, The Family Man, by Robert, was it Houghton? 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 Fair enough. Good. All right. So I wanted this to be as natural as possible. I'm sure I'll find a way to muck that up, but here we go. 15 years ago, I went to the movies with my roommate, Todd. And he was my roommate at the time, but we've since moved on. We went intending to see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but when he found out it had subtitles, he refused to see it. So we ended up seeing The Family Man instead. If you're unfamiliar with this movie, it's the sort of sentimental garbage that studios release around the holidays every year to test the limits of good taste. In it, an angel gives Nicolas Cage the chance to live the suburban life he could have lived had he not made the fateful decision to go work on Wall Street instead of getting married to his college sweetheart, Tia Leone. Surely a dilemma we can all identify with. By the end, he comes to value his middle-class lifestyle more than the apparent solitude of his Upper West Side penthouse. Shocker, right? Anyway, my roommate loved this movie, which makes no sense to me now, but seemed weird. Which makes sense to me now, but seemed weird at the time because the only movies I'd ever known him to watch were pornos. I don't mean like alone in his room jerking off. I mean in the living room while eating a pizza and cleaning his gun. I just turned 21 when I moved in with Todd. He owned a house out in Bear Creek and was renting a room on Craigslist. I was desperate for a place to live. I just moved back to Houston after spending a few years in Austin pretending to be a musician. So it felt like a real blow to my pride to be moving out to the Houston suburbs. But the novelty of scraping it out in Austin had definitely worn thin, and I was ready to sell my soul to the energy corridor. A friend had gotten me an entry-level job in litigation support. Basically, I sorted and copied millions of documents for oil company lawyers, literally millions. It was the most mind-numbing shit I'd ever done. Finally, I understood the allure of mass murder. The only upside was they didn't do random drug testing. And while I felt I'd finally made some progress toward being an adult, I still wanted to believe that I was a rebel at heart. The whole idea of settling down in the suburbs and pumping out kids seemed like a nightmare to me. But not to Todd. He already had a suburban house and a good job, and he really wanted to meet the right lady and have kids and go to Little League games and all that shit. But he was already like 35 or something, so he was feeling the pinch. Also, he was in pretty deep with the porno. We all look at it, of course. But this dude was like a hobbyist or something. A fucking connoisseur in shit. He followed the careers of various porn stars, purchased their DVDs, calendars, rubber vaginas, you name it. And he was all over a bunch of gross message boards and chat rooms. I think he considered the people on those forums to be his actual friends. Maybe they were. I don't know. But they were literally the most meaningful relationships he had throughout our time living together. So needless to say, his prospects for attaining some middle American fantasy life, or even forming a meaningful relationship with another human being, seemed fairly remote. So after the movie, I guess Todd was feeling sentimental because I remember he asked me whether I had a girl in my life like Tia Leone. You know, the one that got away. I told him I didn't, which was true, and still is. I don't know what that says about me, though. I mean, I think I've loved a few girls, and I think I've been loved back, but there isn't some relationship that I look back on and think, oh, staying with her could have made this huge difference in my life. I've always thought of myself as fairly independent and considered that a good thing. But I don't know now. Maybe not having a lost love isn't a sign of independence, but a sign of a person who's detached, cold, incapable of real love. Todd had a lost love, of course. His ex-fiancée, who'd left him for another woman. She told him she didn't really think she was gay, though. She'd just fallen in love with a chick, which made him feel like there was no closure in their relationship or something. Apparently, the idea that she hadn't necessarily ruled out dick entirely drove him crazy. He would have preferred if he had just been fully gay, like if she had just been playing the straight girl for years to appease her parents or something. He could have forgiven that. But the fact that she had a more complicated sexual identity was too much for him. He just couldn't believe it. Which I guess I understand. Complex truths are painful, simple lies are a lot more comfortable. And in Todd's case, I think he actually preferred them. Like when he and I watched the Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee sex tape on VHS. He hated it. Not the picture quality, but the fucking. He kept complaining that they didn't know what they were doing. She gave head like an amateur. Tommy Lee couldn't fuck his way out of a paper bag. He thought a porno should have canned dialogue, shitty costumes, and professional fuckers. None of that bang bus reality shit. Myths were more real to him than reality. He wanted things corny, sentimental, and obviously scripted. Like someone who prefers professional wrestling to boxing. A couple of weeks ago, I got a friend request from Todd on Facebook. Now, 15 years later, I'm about the same age he was then. Still working in litigation support, unfortunately. And he's almost 50 fucking years old, which is insane. But apparently, he got his wish. He found some poor woman willing to let him deposit his crusty old seed in her. His page is littered with kid crap. Pictures of the kid in Little League, articles about parenting, Disney propaganda, lots of other nausea-inducing content. He finally achieved the suburban stereotype he always longed for. I was glad for him. He put on a good front. I considered rejecting his friend request, though, because my page is mostly just pictures of me hanging out, drinking, going to shows, some conspiracy theories. Very similar to the crap I was posting on MySpace 15 years ago. But hey, I accepted it. And while a part of me hopes that my freedom might make him jealous, I doubt it will. I don't think he's interested in freedom at this point in his life. What I call freedom, he probably calls solitude. And as much as I pity him for all his carefully constructed suburban bullshit, he probably pities me for not being a family man. But whatever. We all construct meaning in our lives in different ways. More power to him. I do think that he probably still has a huge porn collection, though. And his wife is probably concerned about it. And rightly so. I mean, the man had a walk-in closet dedicated to porno. That doesn't just go away. If you're in that deep, you're not just gonna change one day. No. You're gonna have to hide that shit and lie about who you are. Or luck out and find a woman that's willing to enable your addiction. That's entirely possible. But if he did get that lucky, then fuck him even more. God, he was such a weirdo. How the hell did he find somebody and I'm still alone? Son of a bitch. Thanks, guys.